Hey, everybody. Very special guest. The term legend gets tossed around so many times, but I am sitting next to one.
What's poppin', Westchester?
Dr. K. Doc, how are you?
Everything's great. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
It's my honor to be here this morning. I hear you have a great show, so thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
And everything is going well.
Yeah. Well, it's my honor. I mean, you honor me. I mean, as a kid, I obviously any kid who grows up a Met fan in the time that I grew up, you know, you idolize certain players, and if you grew up in the golden age of the Mets, who wouldn't want to be you? I mean, I remember literally trying to get your pitching form down and failing miserably.
Yeah.
And by the way, I just want to point out, like, my dad was camp director. I told you this over the summer when we met. My dad was camp director, and we passed by the sign every single day. What was it like for you, the huge sign in the city, like just seeing yourself every day?
Oh, man. It was definitely surreal. I mean, because coming to the major leagues from Tampa
Yeah.
and being a year and a half out of high school at 19, you just want to play baseball. You live
Yeah.
your dream. You pitch against a lot of your heroes, a lot of guys you grew up idolizing, pitching against guys idolizers, like Nolan Ryan. And then all of a sudden you see the billboard with my pitch on it, and it's like, wow. You know, it's just like things start happening so fast. And one of the things was I couldn't wait for my family to come up or my friends to come up to show them. I remember Nike put me up there. I remember we was doing it, taking pictures of them doing it. So it was like, it's something that happens, you know, when you're a kid, something that you dream of, but you never think it actually happens. You know, you see it on TV. I think the first one I ever saw was, I think, Walter Payton in Chicago. And this billboard was before Michael Jordan, before Nike did Michael Jordan. And it was unbelievable. I mean, obviously it comes with a lot of expectation, a lot of responsibility for his pitching will. But, you know, having a guy like Gary Carter as my catcher, I accepted the challenge. But it was just a dream come true as a kid, being fresh out of high school, coming from Tampa to New York City, the Big Apple, having you up there on the billboard when you come out of the Lincoln Tunnel to seeing that. It was just a dream come true. That's something I still have pictures of, and it's still one of my favorite pictures I have on my wall in my basement that I like looking at. And when I bring people over, I like showing them that was me at one time.
So I feel like so much is made of you know, obviously the trouble that you experienced, and not enough is made of your career achievements. Like, I really believe that.
Yeah.
And like, when you look back, I'm gonna kick this mic a million times during this
fine.
interview. When you look at your career, debuting at 19, and we're going to totally talk about Juan Soto during this because he debuted at 19 as well. But to actually surpass your rookie season, which was ridiculous, and I don't think anyone's had a better sophomore season than you in Major League history. How did you keep it together after, you know, debuting at 19 and having an even better second season? And I don't think people talk about your seasons in, you know, after that, because you had masterful seasons after that too.
Yes, and you're right. You know, a lot of times it's uncomfortable for me talking about myself, my career, my accomplishments.
Yeah.
And I think at times I get caught up in, like you say, the troubles that I had off the field.
Yeah.
And I don't justify anything. Yes, I had those troubles. I bounced back from that and try to help people with that. But at the same time, I think my career does get overlooked with the numbers I put up. And I don't think I get enough credit for that. I mean, it's kind of like, well, he's a good pitcher, but there's always that but. And I think part of that, just my opinion, is I set the bar so high my first couple of years where I had good years after that, but everything was compared to 84, 85.
Right.
And my other season was just as good. And I'm going to say this probably for the first time I'm going to say it on here, and I just no knock on nobody or anything, but I look at my career, I look at other guys' careers, other pitchers, and some of them that are in the Hall of Fame, I have better numbers, I had better careers than a lot of those guys that are in the Hall of Fame. And they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not knocking that. But I think because of my off-the-field stuff, the things I did on the field gets overshadowed, and I don't think that's fair because when you have addiction, that is a disease. And trust me, if I hadn't had that, what could the numbers been? I don't know.
Right.
I threw a lot, in the minor leagues. I threw a lot in high school. I threw a lot my first couple years in the major leagues. That doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, that's just the way the game was at that time. If I had to do it over, I'd do it the same way because when I took the mound, I wanted to pitch the complete game. I wanted to shut out. And we didn't look at pitch counts and all this kind of stuff. You just went as long as you can. So I think a lot of that stuff does get overlooked and overshadowed, but I'm very proud of the success I had on the field, and I'm very proud of the things I've overcome off the field as well.
Yeah, I mean, just staying with that, because I feel like every interview goes right to your problems and not enough goes to your staggering numbers.
Yes.
Like, I mean, that's like, obviously I knew you were coming today.
Yes.
So I went back and listen, I'm really ridiculous with Mets stats,
Yes.
especially yours. Again, I was spoiled. Listen, kids in the 90s, I feel bad for it because especially the early 90s, if you're a Met fan, that was rough.
Yes.
But I grew up and the Mets were the team. And by the way, I hope that's where we're at now
Yes.
for my kids. But the Mets own New York, right?
Yes.
And it was ridiculous, but your numbers were staggering. And I think you're right. In 84, 85, your numbers were great, but your numbers were great in 86.
Yes.
And your numbers were great in 88. I'm forgetting 87 because I know that it was like, what, a game behind
Yeah, we missed
in
a
the
game.
division, right?
But even in 87,
Yeah.
people forget, I missed 2 months.
Yeah.
And I still won.
And you
15
still
games.
won 15.
Still won 15.
Yeah.
After missing 2 months.
Yeah.
So.
I also think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like, if you were pitching in the 90s, if you were pitching in the 2000s, I don't think you would have dealt with the scrutiny for your addiction and all your problems, because it was just a different time. You're under a different microscope in the 80s.
It was a different time, and coming to New York, and again, I'm not here to justify anything, but coming up from Tampa, I was more of a follower. I was trying to fit in.
Yeah.
And things happened pretty fast. I had to grow up fast. I mean, my parents had a third grade education, so they couldn't really teach me something. So when I came to New York at 19, and it's not like now where they have all these team doctors, everybody set you up. You come up, and we'll see you at the park tomorrow. You're on your own. You had to learn as you go.
Yeah.
And I made bad choices. I put myself in bad situations. Then it became a problem. And then because of my ego and my pride, it wouldn't let me ask for the help that I needed at the time because everybody was telling me I was okay, so I didn't think I needed help until it got that bad where I knew I was forced to get help,
Right.
unfortunately.
And your numbers are still great.
Numbers
I mean,
are great, yeah.
that just
Thank you.
speaks to your natural talent.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit. Give me a story about the 86 Mets that we haven't heard. I feel like everything has been told and done. Probably not, though. Probably not.
That's a great story. I'll tell you my favorite story. It might be a little boring to other people because you hear so much stuff.
Yeah.
But my thing, I don't think the 86 team got enough credit for the baseball knowledge that we had as a unit because our team, like on Sundays, we play at Shea Stadium, and you know how the traffic could be after the day game on Sundays.
Yeah.
I would say at least out of the 25-man roster, at least 15 of us would sit in the clubhouse, drink beer, and just talk baseball for a couple of hours till the traffic died down. And we never got credit for that. Nobody never talked about that. And that's one of the things I'm most proud of. Yes, we had fun. Yes, we partied on the road. A lot of this stuff is true. But nobody never mentioned about the knowledge we had as a unit and how much we loved the game of baseball and how we sit in there after the games and talk baseball. Plane rides, we talking baseball. On the bus rides to the airport and to the hotel, we talking baseball. We love baseball, and I don't think that got enough credit. And that spoke volumes of the team that we had.
Is there anyone on the 86 Mets that maybe flies under the radar a little bit of like how important they were to the team?
Yes, I would say for me, I would say Ray Knight. Ray Knight and Kevin Mitchell. Obviously, Keith Hernandez got a lot of credit, which he deserved. He was a true leader. I mean, I learned a lot from Keith and Gary Carter, who took over. He was a perfect guy to come in with the young pitching staff we had. But to me, Ray Knight, a veteran guy, veteran leader, had a lot of, I think he was on a 75 Big Red machine. So he came in with a lot of experience. He was a tough guy, no nonsense type guy. Yeah. And would get in your face and hold you accountable.
Punched Eric Davis?
Punched Eric
Was
Davis.
it Eric Davis?
Yes, it was Eric Davis.
Yeah.
And he was a no nonsense guy.
Yeah.
He would hold you accountable. And a couple of times, he pulled me a straw aside to make sure we're doing okay and not out in the city too much. I mean, that's the kind of guy he was. Yeah. He didn't want no media attention. And Kevin Mitchell kept everybody loose on the planes and in the clubhouse. Just a nice guy, a good personality. And I think when we lost those two guys, it took a big hole out of the team we had with the chemistry.
Talk to me a little bit. Like it's very hard for me, to be honest with you, to segue to today's team because I really just want to talk to you about the '80s teams.
No,
like it could literally just be that. But talk to me a little bit about like ownership, like in the '80s versus today. And I know that, like, you didn't want to leave the Mets,
right.
And you talk about it often. Yeah. You even said it, when you were finally, given your due this past year.
Yes.
I know you've been in the Mets Hall of Fame for a while. Again, justified, but ownership kind of didn't treat you very well. It's pretty much been documented, right? The old ownership, I should say.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about, the Cohens versus the Wilpons and the Doubledays, and like, just it seems like it's night and day.
It's night and day. I think the thing, Nelson Doubleday was great. He was great to me, great to my family. My dad was a big baseball fan, and when my dad would come up, watch the games, he would sit with Nelson behind home plate. It was great. And when I would be on deck, Nelson would joke with me about hitting home runs or different things like that. I think with the Wilpons, I think Fred and Jeff were good people. Don't get me wrong. Good people, good baseball people. But I think there was more kind of old school. And what I mean by that was they had no knowledge of addiction. And again, I'm not justifying anything or blaming them for anything. Sure. And they didn't know how to treat that or how to, go about that. And I think when I had my problems and Darryl had his problems, it was a big red flag where they wanted to back off. Instead of probably helping us get help that we needed, it was more like, you guys screwed up again. And at that time, too, there was no really knowledge about it. Wasn't talked a lot about addiction being a disease. It was just about you're a failure, you're a bomb, you're a drug addict. Yeah. Maybe so, but it's a disease. And same thing with mental health. Mental health now is coming into the picture where there's help out there, where before, oh, that guy's crazy. Can you believe what this guy did? I can't believe he did that again. Well, something's wrong to make you do that. So I don't blame the Wilpons for the way it went down. Obviously, in '94 they wanted to cut ties. I got it, but I was really hurt. I was hurt probably more so because I was suffering. I gave this team everything I had. Yep. I mean, even when I was hurt, I pitched. A lot of stuff that happened behind closed doors that I don't feel the need to talk about that they did. Yep. So I was hurt inside because I felt like I needed a chance to go back out there to show the fans that I'm okay, I'm healthy. But as a business standpoint, I understand what the Mets was doing and that it was facing, because here it is, '87, I went to rehab voluntarily. Then '94, I had a relapse. And then during the suspension, I had another relapse. And they said, that's it, we're out. But to that conclusion, Mr. Steinbrenner gave me an opportunity to continue my career in New York. I'm always going to be a Met. I always said that. Yeah, sure. But I can't thank the Steinbrenner family and the organization for letting me continue my career in New York, because had I went to Cleveland first or Minnesota, wherever first, it wouldn't have been the same, because for me, from a person, from an ego, pride, and everything else, New York seen me grow up in New York. I came here at 19 and to get the opportunity to jumpstart my career in '96, even though it was with the Yankees, and to go on and win the World Series that year and pitch a no-hitter that year, which was the last game my dad saw me pitch. Yeah. It was just meant to be that way. And so, unfortunately, it didn't work out the way I wanted to work out, but everything is timing. And now with the new ownership coming in, my thing that I love about Steve and Alex Cohen is that they care about their fans. Not saying the Wilpons didn't, but the Cohens, they show they care about the fans. Right. They get involved with the fans. They spend time with the fans and the alumni. It almost seems like, I would say more so Jeff than Fred, like they wanted no part of the '86 team, no part of it. And again, from what I went through, and I want to say 2009 was the first year of Citi Field. I know I'm going back now, but no, it's fine. In 2009, I went to opening day because Gary Sheffield, my nephew, was on the Mets. Yeah. So I was going to his game to see, and the stadium had just opened, and the guy that owned one of the restaurants asked me to sign the wall. I remember that. Yeah. He said, "Can you sign the wall and put some stats?"
They were gonna wipe it off, right?
They took the whole side of the wall out, and so he told me to do it. Gave
Doc,
me the Sharpie.
You could sign my car right now.
He gave me the Sharpie to do it, so I wrote my name and I put some stats. Yeah. The next day I get a call, say, "Doc, what are you thinking about? Why would you do that?" Yeah. It's almost like I took a pen, I was spraying graffiti on the stadium, and they made a big deal out of that. Yeah. And because the media got a hold to that and big thing out of it, the next year I got put into the Mets Hall of Fame. Right. But they put us all in at the same time, me, Darryl, Frank Catching, and Davey. And I mean, that probably just they were doing it, but everybody else had their day to go in. You know, and other guys got put in the Mets Hall of Fame. It was just them solo by themselves. But I felt like, let's take this '86 team and let's get them
It was
all
just
in.
like they bowed to pressure, pretty much.
Yes, and get
Yeah.
them out. That's
Yeah.
what it seems. And the thing, one of the things I like to talk about, and again, I'm not trying to take shots at anybody or anything like that, but you asked me the question, so
Yeah.
I'm just giving it to you straight.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about my hating with the Mets, with the Wilpons, and I tried to set up a meeting just to clear the air, just let them know I don't have no bitter feelings. Obviously, I didn't like the way it went down, but I get it, I understand. I wanted to apologize for them for any embarrassment or wrongdoing I brought to the organization. And I remember Jeff said to me, I hope you're not coming to ask for a job. At the time, I was already working for the Yankees.
Yeah.
I was working in the front office under Mr. Steinbrenner. So I just wanted to clear it. And at that point, I just said, never mind. I didn't want to have the meeting. And that always stuck with me because I never got the opportunity to have the meeting. But then it felt like talking to my kids said, sometimes you just got to let me just leave it alone. And
Yeah.
but again, with the Cohens retirement number, that let me know that everything's okay. You are Met. We do appreciate everything you did for the Mets, and that I belong with the Mets now. That I belong to something because a lot of times, you know, when you go through difficult times, personal battles, you have a lot of doubts in yourself, your ability. You have a lot of guilt, shame, embarrassment, all this stuff. But that day when they retired my number, and I had my grandkids there, I got to talk to the fans. My family's there, so my '86 teammates are there. I felt like I belong again.
Yeah.
And that's all you can really ask for.
And what I really loved about that was that they let you and Daryl have your days.
And let us have our
They
days.
didn't have, because,
That's what
I mean,
yeah.
you and Daryl, you don't get lumped together, but
Yes.
like you guys are synonymous with each other, right?
Yes.
I mean, you
Oh,
know,
yes.
he was Rookie of the year before, you know, stuff like that. But I really love that they let you guys have your
Yeah,
days.
it's like they know they did the right way. You know, they understand. And, you know, yes, we made our mistakes, but we're trying to turn our mess into messages and help. Daryl's doing it with his ministry. I'm doing it with just talking to schools and camps and
And
clinics.
helping kids, yeah.
And helping kids. And just doing the best we can. That's all we could do. And I understand the responsibility that comes with having your number retired because you represent the organization now even more so. And I like that. I love that because, like, even when I was at the playoffs this year, I want to be in the stands with the fans. I want to high-five the fans because I'm a part of them and they're a part of me, and it was just so much fun.
I mean, what I'll say, which I just always felt as a Met fan, is that the Wilpons just never read the room.
Yeah.
They just never read the room. You know, Citi Field is the best park that I've ever been to. And I say that biased, but not really.
No.
And when it opened, I felt that I walked into a tribute to the Brooklyn Dodgers more than the Mets.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's the feedback that they got. So they metified it a little bit, you know,
Yes.
after. But, like, that's the vibe that I got, you
Yes.
know. And I felt like they never read the room.
I get it.
You know, and
You're
they
right.
listen. They had their signings. You know, you got Beltran and you got, you know, important trades that happened. But I just always felt that they never read the room.
No.
And it says something that when they sell the team, fans do backflips. You know,
Fans came, yes.
You know?
Fans are right there. Like I say, and they see people in New York, fans in the media, they're smart people. They have a lot of baseball knowledge, and they pay attention, and they watch, and they hear things, and they want to see things, and they're about action. And the ownership proves that. I mean, and I think they prove it, not going out of their way to prove it, they just prove it by being themselves and in the right position at the right time to bring this together.
well, I'm glad that the Cohens gave you the opportunity because I do think that you were wrong then. I think you should have gotten the opportunity to retire a Met and do things the right way. So I'm glad that they did that for
Oh,
you.
I can't. Every time I see Alex or Steve at the game, I can't thank them enough, and it just brings tears to my eyes when I see them because they did the right thing. But they haven't. I don't think they understand, or I can find the words to describe to them what that meant to me and my family because my family knew for so long the pain that I had inside that I couldn't relieve because of it's like I had a great career. The fans love me, everybody love me, but it's not right. I don't feel like did I do enough? I don't know. I know I had my mistakes, but I try to make it right. But, you make mistakes, you learn from it, but you can't go back.
Right.
You can only learn from it and try to help others that may be going through it. That's all you can do. None of us is perfect. I mean, and you just do the best you can. And that day, they had my family there, my grandkids there. My grandkids never saw me play. My two young kids never saw me play. But to be on the field with me for that moment in that day, and the fans there, even though it was raining,
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
That day, to me, the sun was just as bright as it could possibly be.
Yeah.
And what they gave me that day is something that I could never, ever tell them thank you enough. I hugged them enough. You know, it's unbelievable.
Well, I'll just say this. I started it by mumbling my words when we started this interview, but like literally growing up, like who didn't want to be you? And a person's not defined by their mistakes. So that's why, like, I don't want to even, continue talking about the mistakes you made because your stats are staggering. Yeah. Like, and I think, like, we talk about Ohtani now, and now we're going to delve into Soto. No. But, like, and we got Met fans today, we get glimpses of it. So there was, like, Harvey night, right? And there was DeGrom night. And, but when you pitched, it was an event. And rarely in baseball do you get that, right? Where it's like, okay, so, like, when Ohtani's playing, it's an event. When Ohtani's coming to Citi Field, playoffs were rough, right? Because, anytime Ohtani's up, it's, and usually he comes through, right?
Yes.
But when you were pitching, it was on.
Oh, man.
And it's a rarity. And I will say it again that you do not get your due for what you accomplished in the game. So there's that.
No.
So just a statement. Take it. Feel it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So talk to me about the vibe that you get with the Mets now, because the vibe that I get with the Mets is that this past year was 1985. That's how I feel about it.
Yes.
This was supposed to be like not a rebuild, but like, not a rebuild year. This was supposed to be kind of a setup year for, something bigger this year.
Yes.
So
I agree.
I have not seen chemistry on a Met team this good since '86. And I just talk to me about the OMG year, and then let's delve into where you see the Mets now.
I tell you what, it was amazing to watch it, and I'm the same way. I was like, man, this team. First, when they start off 0-5, I was like, uh-oh, it's not good. It's not good, because it's like I love New York sports, and I love the New York Giants. So it's like I can't wait the football's over. Let's get into baseball. Next day, and then the Mets start like that. I'm like, oh, where do I go? Because sports is like my thing. Yeah. But then they got the rolling, playing well, and I got to meet Mendoza, the manager, great manager, and it's just how the chemistry all just started coming together. The fans started getting behind the OMG thing started. And you're right. It's like we know we're not quite there just yet because, like, Singer's out. So, was it Maheda? I'm saying that right? Maheda? The pitcher. Minaya.
Yeah.
And Quintana was pitching good.
Yep.
Peterson came into his own. So it's kind of like coming. But something was missing. They're not quite there yet. And I remember in '84, we had a good young team, but nobody knew what we had because the Mets had been so bad the previous 10 years. But it was bringing the excitement. Young guys there. My first year, Daryl's second year, guys are coming. And then '85, my year was magic, and we were so close. If it'd been a wild card that year, would have been in.
Same with '87, right?
Same with '87.
You guys would have been a dynasty.
Oh, yes. And we were battling. We had Carter. I mean, it was great. And I saw a lot of this year. I'm like, wow, we're only a couple of pitchers, maybe another hitter away. And you see it coming. And then once it got to the playoffs, I didn't think they was going to beat the Phillies, to be honest with you. I'm just being honest.
Same.
And they beat the Phillies, and then they're playing the Dodgers, and they split. I'm like, whoa, might be something here. But even though you still don't really feel it, and even though when they got knocked out against the Dodgers, I still felt like this year was a victory for them. We're on the right path. And then I also felt like they're so close. I don't think they realize it. And I hope the organization realize it, how close we are. I know the fans realize it. And I say, now, once you get that close, the organization's going to get hungry to continue because that stadium was electric. I couldn't wait. My whole day was based on the Met games in that Citi Field, and I couldn't wait to get there. 7:30 start, 8 o'clock start. I was there at 4 o'clock. I was just so into it. And I haven't had that feeling as a former player or a fan in a long time. Yeah. And that excitement was back at Citi Field. I mean, it was back like it was. And even more so than 2015. And 2015, they had a way better pitching staff. Yep. But they didn't have the excitement that they had this year. Yeah. And the team is very close. Obviously, the stakes going to be high going into next year because of what you did. And I don't think they're done making moves this year, but they're closer than you really think. And I just hope they don't feel they have to do too much to do it because they're close. You got Mauricio coming back. I'm very excited about him. You got some young guys that showed some promise. Alvarez, I think, played hurt last year towards the end. He's going to be right there, and this is third year coming, so I look for big things for him too. And a couple of pitchers we got coming back from injuries, and I'm excited. I can't wait till spring training starts. And having Soto come in, wow, that was to me. That's like people are like, oh yeah, overspend. You didn't overspend. You'll make that back. I mean, the fans are going to come out. The fans have been waiting. The fans will come out, and the Cohens that we speak about, the ownerships, they show they want to win. They show they care about the fans, and they care about the organization, and they're building something within that clubhouse that's I haven't seen. And just going through there a couple of times, the excitement, the confidence they have in each other, the chemistry they're building, because you got to have an identity, I think, with any team, and they have that now, and they starting to believe. I think early in the year, just my opinion, they was trying not to lose, but later in the season, they was playing to win, and they knew they was going to win. So I'm excited about them, not just 25, but the coming future for the Mets. So I'm very excited.
I think that's the difference also with 2015, where I feel like they're set up for years beyond. Even 2006, I feel like it was like, oh, well, Delgado's a year older. How's their pitching going to hold up?
Yes.
They're actually... They're like going. Alvarez is 22 years old.
Yeah, he's a baby.
You know.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about Soto in particular. He's only 26. Yeah, the contract's nuts. I feel like, no disrespect against the Yankees, disrespect for the Yankees. But if he signed with the Yankees, it would have been like, oh, Hal's flexing his muscles just like George. When the Mets do, it's an outrageous contract. It's it's double standard in New York.
Definitely.
This was something that had to be done.
Yes.
And it's an amazing contract. Ron Darling said it's the most important, in Met history. 40 years ago yesterday, the Mets got Gary Carter.
Yes.
Where do you see this in Met history? Because Gary Carter obviously was like top three, right? Hernandez is top three.
Yes.
But in terms of free agent signings, like, do you think this is the biggest?
I think it's the biggest I've seen in my lifetime. Like you say, Keith was traded. Gary was traded. Soto's a free agent. And you're dealing against the Dodgers, probably was trying to backdoor it. And you got the Yankees, who always was the big brother, right there. Normally gets what they want. But for this ownership to come in and say, no, I want that guy, and I'm going to get that guy. I got to have that guy. That's the owner I want in my foxhole, fighting for me. Reminds me a lot of George Steinbrenner, but he's his own man. And to see that, that's got to make an organization and the players want to fight even more. And I just hope that when Soto comes in, he don't put any pressure on himself because, the fans, the media, and maybe himself, you think that I got this contract, I live up to this contract. Well, you earned that contract. They paid you that with hopes of what you can do. And he would take pressure off other guys. And what I mean that, when Carter came in with us in 85, we had a young staff, myself, Ron Darling, Sid Fernandez, Aguilera. The only veteran we had come in, I guess, in 86 was Ojeda. Yeah. But we had a young staff, and we needed that. So having a guy like Soto come in, even though he's 26, but he's a veteran player, I look at. He's been to the World Series twice. He's won once. He won at a young age. Came in the league at 19. So he's been through all that. Yeah. So I think he will take pressure off the other guys. And hopefully, only other thing on my prayer list for the Mets, bring Alonso back. Yeah. And I think with Soto there will help him as well. Because, Alonso always was the guy in the middle. It was always Pete does this, Pete does that. Now Pete don't have to worry about that. Just be himself. Same with Soto. Just come in, be the player you always been, and do your thing. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, neither of them have to be the guy.
Right, you don't have to be the guy. And that's the beauty of it because, like, the team we had, I keep going to 86, but like you said, but the team we had 86, we didn't have to depend on one guy. We knew Strawberry was the guy. Carter, we had Keith, we had, Ray Knight, Kevin Mitchell come up to bench. We had some guys, Mookie Wilson, Lenny Dykstra was at the table, Wally. So many guys where one guy didn't do it, he could pass the baton. We know the next guy going to do it. If this guy struggled a little bit, the next guy's going to do it. We had to depend on that one guy. Yeah,
and I felt like this season Lindor carried everything on his back.
Yes.
Doesn't have to really do that.
He don't have to do that.
He just sets the table.
Sets the table.
Yeah.
It'd be fine. Just be himself, be the leader he is, get everybody's going. It's going to be fun to watch.
So if you're the GM, because the Mets don't have one, by the way, if you're the GM, who out there now are you looking at? Obviously, listen, you want Pete back because in a lot of ways Pete is underrated. Yes. He's not a sloppy fielder.
Well, he's a great fielder.
Is he a Gold Glove fielder? Maybe not. No. But he is not a sloppy fielder, and he works so hard on himself, and he is a leader you would know more than me.
Definitely.
But I love Pete, and I want him back too.
Yeah. He plays every day.
And he plays every day.
Plays every day.
Yeah.
Whether he's struggling or not, or what they're saying, he's out there every single day.
And he owns up. He owns up with his crap.
To it. And that's the guy you want. Because I tell you, from my experience playing in New York on both sides, everybody can't play in New York. Everybody cannot handle that. So you got to be careful just going after the name, because you got to make sure that guy fits. Because if he don't, it could be trouble. It could bite fire. Pete's proven to you that he can play in New York. He's had good years, and they say this year was a down year, but he still hit 30-something home runs. In a down year, I'll take that.
Sure.
I'll take that.
Sure.
And his defense is not bad. He's improved over the years, but it's so much about offense as opposed to him, because he set the bar so high. When he hit 53 home runs, I think his rookie year. Everybody looking at that, they overlooked his defense.
Right.
He saved a lot of runs, and it's just as important. So bring him back, and I would like, I still think we need a top of the rotation guy, and I think that guy's out there. I think he pitched in Baltimore last year. And I think they have him and Stearns have a history.
Yeah.
That would be the guy I would be eyeing right now.
Yeah.
Because I think you still need a front rotation guy.
Rotation guy.
Yes, I think.
You see yourself in any of the players today?
What I got to go back. What's the guy's name? I only saw a bits and pieces of him. I think it was Scott. Scott is his last name. He had surgery this year.
Oh, Christian
Scott. Yes.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Okay.
Just his mound presence, how he attacked hitters. I mean, he was a rookie, but I watched him in spring training, and then when they called him up, how he just was attacking guys. I see a little bit of myself in him when I came up my first year, and how you have that, you have respect, but you have that, what they call it, the young kids call it the dog in you or whatever.
Yeah.
And you attack guys.
The fire or whatever.
I mean, you have the analytics and all that, but he pitched to his strength, and I like to see that. And he wasn't afraid to throw his fastball.
Yeah. Did you ever consider at any point, like, coaching or going into that end of baseball?
It's amazing. When I retired in 2000, I worked for the Yankees in the minor leagues, and I did 2 years. Like I was like the baseball assistance guy, did some of the roving pitching, and then I was working with George Steinbrenner. I was like his assistant, and he was roving me to be the team president. But unfortunately, I got in some trouble, and even when I got out, he wanted to bring me back, but I said, no, let me just focus on my life and my kids and all this stuff.
Right.
So it didn't really work out. But I can see myself getting back into it eventually. Right now, my youngest son is in college playing football at University of Maryland.
Okay.
I think once he's out of school, I like to get back into it and totally focus in some capacity, if not. Because I think there's some room for me there to help out, and I would love to do that.
You just mentioned George again. What was George like? Compare him to Steve. You kind of alluded to it before.
Yes.
And I don't want someone like watching this or listening to it and be like, that guy just totally blew it and didn't ask that question.
Right.
Just what was it like working with Steinbrenner, and talk to me a little bit about just Steve Cohen as a person and just Cohens in general.
I think the two. I'll start with George. Playing for George and working with George and being around George every day, he had a side of him was very caring. He didn't want nobody to know. He wanted to come off like he's this real tough guy, which he was tough. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he was in your corner, and he want to put you in the best situation to succeed. And I remember when my dad was very sick and he was at the end, George would go to the hospital and spend time with my dad, just one-on-one, just talking to my dad. And he actually, I still believe he gave my dad an extra 2 weeks of living just because he was there. And my dad loved talking baseball, and George liked talking baseball. But George was the type that he wanted to win. He'll go to any extent to win. He just wanted to win. He said finishing second is like kissing your sister. I'll never forget him telling me that. And he, if we played the Mets.
Are you saying Hal Steinbrenner kissed his sister this week?
You said it. I'm not saying it. And he would be more, he's more vocal. He's like front page headlines. Yeah. And he loved that stuff. Yeah. And he would let you know how you felt. But at the same time, he was in your corner, and you knew that, and you felt that. And he cared about everybody in the organization. Anybody put him at, a Yankee uniform on, he cared about you. I think what Cohen has the same mentality, but he's like a quiet assassin. He's sitting back, he smiles. He's a great guy, but do not piss him off. Do not piss him off. He has that side, and he's a winner. He wants to win. He's going to go the instant to win. He's going to put you in the best situation, just like George. They have a lot of ways just to like, but just doing it different. George is more on the vocal side. Right. Steve is more doing it, in a quiet way. And the quiet guy's the one I would be afraid of because you don't know what he's thinking and what is his plan. But they're both the winners and they're both the great guys.
Yeah, awesome. Before we wrap this up, you do so many signings, which tells me just how much you care about your fans. And I mean, this is not like anything new. I mean, you care so deeply about your fans. You also do a lot for the community. So I kind of just want to hear from you, like, what you do. I mean, like this summer, I played catch with you with my son, and my son still talks about it, and he's 10. When the Mets won the World Series, I was 10. So, like, it would be nice if they won the World Series.
Yes.
Because when I was 10, I didn't know that would be the last time for a while. So it would be nice if they won this year because he's 10. It would be full circle. But tell me, like, what you get out of, feeding that energy from the fans, and what you do for the community, because I know it's so much. And it's also another thing, Doc, that gets overlooked. Yeah.
I do a lot of stuff. I love it because I had to find, like, when I retired, I had to find something to feel that adrenaline because, like, you play baseball from you're 7 years old and there's so much adrenaline into it. And I would, like, do different things and I get bored. I'm like, on to the next. So now I found peace within myself about giving back. Like I always say, the mess I made turned into messages. I love to say that because whether it's a teenage guy struggling for addiction, whether it's going to hospital to visit some patients, visiting a family in hospice, it's not one specific thing that I focus on doing. It's just whatever it is that touches my heart, I want to do. And I know the impact that it has on sometimes, and not to blow smoke up my own horn, but sometimes just being there, being present, just helping others. Monday, I got an award from St. Barnabas Hospital for just giving back. And basically, you feel weird because you're just being yourself. And I was brought up with good parents. And it was about, they always told me, what's the purpose of having a life if you can't impact another's life? And that's basically my motto, putting a smile on a stranger's face. I love doing that. So I give back, I love seeing a smile on someone's face. You never know what somebody's going through. It's easy to go to the ballpark and high-five a guy after your team win. But going to a hospital, seeing somebody in the bed, seeing that family in the waiting room, not knowing what's going to happen, being able to put a smile on their face or just give them 10 minutes where you can distract them from what they're going through. To me, that's what it's all about, and that's my purpose now because I look at, and not to dwell on negative stuff, we say we're going to do that, but a lot of people have lost their life for doing a lot less than what I've done. So I feel like my purpose for still being here is giving back the best way I can. And a lot of times I'm not looking for the TV crew, I'm not looking for notoriety. I'm just doing it from my heart, and it feels good. I can go outside and see a homeless person, and I would talk to that person. Because at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters, and we all need love. And just one word can change that person's life. I remember one of the guys, I would pat myself on the back with this one, but it comes through me. I was speaking in a church, and a guy said, I was telling him about how tough it had been for me. I didn't know where to turn. I thought about giving it up, but I couldn't because I know if I just wait till tomorrow, that might be my blessing, or I have family, I'm not going to hurt them. I just got to get through today or this minute, things will be better. And the guy came to me afterwards and he said, I needed to hear that. I said, why? He said, tonight I was thinking about taking my life. And when he said that, I was like, wow, that's powerful. But that gave me the strength to continue doing what I do just by hearing that one guy say that, speaking in schools and just telling my story, what I went through, and letting people know it's a better way. Just give it a shot. Hang around people that have your support, people that you can trust, people that are going to judge you. And just care. Some people are going to talk about you regardless, but just being where you're at with peace within yourself and just helping the next guy. And that's why I do what I do.
Awesome. Yeah. And you do clinics for kids.
I love doing clinics for kids, yes.
Yeah.
Kids are my passion. Like you mentioned, why I want to get back into coaching. Eventually I would because baseball is my whole life. My dad brought me up since I was 7 years old, and baseball is all I know. But right now, I like to spend time with my youngest son down in Maryland and my grandkids in Tampa. And I'll get back into it. But in my free time, doing clinics with kids, underprivileged kids, or kids who can't play traveling baseball, there's no better feeling than playing catch with a kid or seeing a smile on a kid's face when you say, man, that's good. That's the way to do it. Mm-hmm. That's the reward. And there's no better reward than that. Yeah. Showing the kid what he's done. And the kids remember that as they get older. And by a kid telling somebody else that, it keeps it going, keeps their hope alive, and keeps their faith alive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I told you, you played catch with my son at an event this past August. Still talks about it.
Still talks about it, yes.
Talks
And that's what it's about to me.
Played catch with me too. I still talk about
Oh,
it.
yeah, definitely. That's a joy. Because I know if I was a kid, I got to meet Pete Rose when I was 9 years old in Tampa. And I remember the joy that I had and to go telling my friends what I meant. They didn't believe me.
Yeah.
And then getting to play against Pete Rose and then becoming
Struck
friends.
him out.
Struck him out.
Struck
And then
him out.
becoming friends with Pete Rose.
Yeah.
These things do happen. I share those same stories with other kids to let them know I was their age once, and these things can happen. It can happen, you know.
Toughest batter you faced?
Chili Davis was the toughest.
Chili Davis.
Barry Bonds was probably the best hitter I ever faced,
Okay.
but Chili gave me the most trouble.
Okay.
Chili was tough, man.
What was the one batter that you struck out where when you were on the mound you were like, yes,
Pete Rose.
Pete Rose.
Because Pete, I met at 9 years old,
Yeah.
and here I am 10 years later facing Pete.
Yeah.
And he got some hits off me, but to strike him out, it was like, I met him when I was 9 years old, and I'm on the same field in the big leagues, and I'm striking this guy out. And obviously my other thing was, where it was like a unsurreal moment, being in the same clubhouse with Nolan Ryan and having Nolan tell me that he looks forward to watching me pitch every fifth day. If he's not pitching or have a game, he turned in to watch me pitch. And that's a guy that 3 years prior to that, I used to be in my backyard pitching to my nephew, pretending to be Nolan Ryan. And he's telling me that. So I always say to kids, dreams come true. And that's why I like to give back to mostly the youth to let them know that these things can happen. You stay focused, because a lot of distractions out there. Just stay focused. You can live your dream.
Doc, I'm never going to let you go. I'm
No,
just
it's
gonna
all
keep throwing
good.
questions.
Yeah.
One question.
I got you.
Sorry, last question.
Yes.
What do you think about the DHs in both leagues? I know it's happened. It's been going on for years, but you could smack the hell out of a ball. So I just got to ask you.
I should love to hit, man.
You love to hit, and you could hit.
Yes.
So just I got to ask you.
To be honest, so when they first got the DH, I was upset. I was like, no, it's taken away from the game.
Yeah.
There's no strategy now. But then when you look back at it, these pitchers, it's almost embarrassing because pitchers that they get hurt bunting, they get hurt running the bases. They didn't take as much pride in hitting as we did. When we played, we'll go in the cages and work on hitting. On the road, the first day there, we hit. We took a lot of pride in it. And myself, I used to love to hit because if you can help yourself, you get an extra inning. And sometimes I would be pitching. I said, man, if I get these 3 outs, I get to hit again. I used to love to hit. But I think now, with the way the game is and these pitchers get hurt, they kind of had to do it. And plus, all my hitting records with the Mets are safe now. So I leave with the most home runs as a Met pitcher with 8.
Awesome.
Yes.
Will you promise to come back?
Yes, you got it.
All right.
My pleasure. You got it.
My pleasure.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, buddy. I appreciate
you.
Yes, this was great.
Awesome.
Thank you.